Around 1:30, the Victoria Fire Department responded to an alarm at Shields Elementary. That's in the 3400 block of Bluebonnet Street. Fire crews say the smoke was caused by a possible air conditioner malfunction.
A Wharton County woman in custody charged with murder. 20-year-old Ansley Tay Castillo charged in connection with the murder of 45-year-old Larry Ortiz Jr. on January 28th near Freeport. Last Friday, Castillo was one of 4 people taken into custody on murder charges. Each are held on a $2 million bond. Victoria Crime Stoppers seeking information on the location of Jamie Lee Johnson. The 31-year-old Johnson has 2 outstanding warrants. Johnson is 5'7" and 145 pounds with brown hair and green eyes. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Jamie Lee Johnson, call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200 or go to crimestoppersvictoria.com.
And now let's take a quick break and take a look at the weather with meteorologist Howie Gordon. Howie, are we going to be expecting any rain soon? Because it's been so dry out there.
It really has been very dry, but I got this feeling that the temperatures are going to be changing a bunch, and I guess...
I feel like it's coming because the fog last night was too intense.
But is precipitation coming with that temperature change, Howie?
That is a good possibility. As that cold front moves in, we could see some showers, but for now it is heat central here in South Texas. We warmed in the mid-80s. That looks to hold serve right through Thursday before or until that boundary does move in, and that is going to drop our temperatures, and that could trigger some showers as well. Here's what we got for winds. Okay, still gusting away 25 to 30. That will help with the fog. That's not going to eliminate the fog. Here's what we have. That moisture pushing in. Yeah, some spots getting taken down visibility-wise, and that might linger again until the morning hours. So 60s this evening. Overnight will drop down to just 68 degrees, mostly cloudy. We'll talk more about our cool down and possible rain. Don, Karina.
Howie, thank you. A bill to stiffen penalties for illegal voting has moved one step closer to becoming a law in Texas.
A state Senate committee approving the controversial legislation and sending it to the full Senate for a vote.
I would just encourage folks to look at that.
Under Senate Bill 2, Texas would increase the penalty for illegal voting from a Class A misdemeanor back to a second-degree felony, the way it was before it was changed 2 years ago. The author of the bill says the legislation would also remove the requirement that a person knows that it's a crime for them to vote.
Ignorance of the law is not a defense. Under Senate Bill 2, which is before the committee, if you are a felon and you know that you are a felon, you don't have to also know that it's illegal for felons to vote.
I'm emotional right now because
his proposal comes in response to the high-profile case surrounding Crystal Mason of Tarrant County. Last year, the state's highest criminal court, the Criminal Court of Appeals, ruled that a lower court was wrong after failing to require proof that Mason actually knew it was a crime for her to vote while she was on supervised release after serving time in federal prison for tax fraud. Mason has maintained she didn't know she was ineligible to vote. The president of the Texas NAACP opposes the new bill.
That this bill should not be discussed as simply a matter of good or bad public policy, but instead should be discussed as a clear and overt manifestation of racial bias.
When the NAACP says something like that, I will respond to it. This bill is to restore what was a penalty that was there prior, and it has absolutely no racial component whatsoever.
Instead of one innocent victim like Crystal Mason, there could be hundreds, even thousands.
Members, I'd like to welcome you to
At a separate Senate hearing, Texas Secretary of State Jane Nelson testified about elections that her department helps oversee.
And my goals are quite simple, and that is to have the most transparent, fair, accurate elections that we can have.
And with that, here is your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan that QR code on your screen to participate. What should the penalty for illegal voting be? Class A misdemeanor or a second-degree felony? We take a look at those results, and 9% say Class A misdemeanor and 91% say second-degree felony. We want to keep on hearing from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. We will have an update on 25 News Now at 10. Now, survivors of the Uvalde mass shooting and victims' families rallying outside the Texas state capitol today. They are pushing for gun reform. Supporters are demanding action, including stronger red flag laws and raising the age to buy certain firearms. The rally comes more than 9 months after a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers at a Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan in the spotlight today.
And the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments on 2 cases linked to the program.
Braving the rainy conditions, a crowd gathered near the U.S. Supreme Court in anticipation of the High Court's decision on the country's student loan forgiveness program.
We all have tremendous amounts of student debt because of the predatory practices of our capitalist economy.
Millions of student loan borrowers could see up to $20,000 of their debt canceled, depending on the outcome of Tuesday's hearing.
What we want to remind American people more broadly is how this program is going to give tens of millions of Americans across the country a little bit of a breathing room that you hear from the president, who says this a lot. That's part of his economic plan.
Critics of the program say the country can't afford to pick up the tab.
We believe that a lot of the inflation is a direct result of bad policies that this president's done through executive order, like canceling the Keystone Pipeline and the student loan debt and things like that.
2 cases are in front of the justices Tuesday. In one, 6 Republican-led states say they would be harmed financially if the program goes into effect. The other involves 2 borrowers in Texas who don't fully qualify for debt forgiveness under the program. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6 in Houston. The human remains of Felicia Johnson were found in the Sam Houston National Forest.
And also in Houston, a company agreed to receive thousands of gallons of toxic wastewater from that train derailment in Ohio.
My time in the service, I did a lot of amazing things. I was very fortunate to have some cool opportunities.
United States Marine Corps veteran Mastery Gunnery Sergeant Gail Horn is your military hero for the month of February. She is a decorated veteran, having served 25 years in the Marines. Horn grew up in rural Minnesota and in her mid-20s realized it was time for a career change because, as she puts it, there's a level of camaraderie that one can only find in the Marines.
You know what? I think it's time for me to make a career change. I call it my first midlife crisis because I was 26 when I went to boot camp.
So on January 10th, 1984, Horn arrived at Parris Island, South Carolina for Marine boot camp. Her first permanent duty station was in North Carolina, where her primary job was in aviation electronics, as she was a deceptive electronics countermeasures repair technician, working in the helicopter portion of the Air Wing. After working in her MOS and then teaching it, Horn was presented with the opportunity to be a Marine drill instructor.
It is without a doubt one of the most challenging tours of duty I had, being a female drill instructor. We're a little bit harder on ourselves because we're so few. We call ourselves the fewer the prouder.
Like some challenges in life, those that seem to be the hardest end up being the most rewarding, as she would go on to be a drill instructor for a total of 6 platoons, with her Marines going on to live amazing lives and careers.
It was probably one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but it's also one of the things where I really grew emotionally and within myself. You know, where you find out, are you tin or titanium? What kind of metal are you made of?
And Horn is titanium. After talking with her, I'd even go as far to say she's tungsten, which is, for those of you who don't know, one of the strongest metals on Earth. Yes, I had to Google that one. She would spend a few years in Japan, something she said was a memorable time, being able to take her daughter across the world, even doing things like go to Japanese Disney World. After Japan, Horn would work at the Marines headquarters as an enlisted career counselor, a highlight in her career as she would guide people within the service and help them plan and advance their military careers. Then she got deployed to Iraq, where she did have a close call.
We started getting bombed. We started getting hit. Rockets were hitting left and right. And I remember the one girl, because they were really close to leaving. I mean, I was freaking out because I'd been in country 3 days. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And they're sitting there going, and she's putting her mascara on, and she's going, and it sweeped because the rocket hit right then. She wipes it off, finishes getting dressed, and goes because She was with Scarface. They were the light attack helicopters. And so guess who's going to go try to find out who was rocketing us? Scarface. So she knew she needed to get going real quick.
March is Women's History Month. This year's theme is celebrating those who tell the stories.
All these women have done so many things, and every woman has a story to tell. And it's important that we, hear them and appreciate them, because in so many countries, women are still put down so badly. And some places here even, depending on the situation. It's easier to rise up from it here than it is a lot of places.
Only about 8% of the Marines is made up of women, so when reflecting on her time as a Marine, Horn recalls she had to rise above the challenge of being in the minority.
I remember my senior drill instructor telling me, you're going to have to be 20% better just to be considered equal. And I kind of carried that through my career.
And she has one final message to all the women out there who are considering becoming a Marine.
Do it. If you want to be a Marine, be a Marine.
Horn is also very active in the local VFW and is the service officer for the Disabled American Veterans and secretary for the Marine Corps League. She's also an avid seamstress and used to train and show Cocker Spaniels, having a few dogs and cats of her own as well. Thank you, Gail Horn, to your service to your country and to all the current and retired service members out there. And a special shout out to all the women watching. Adam Seibel, 25 News Now.
The art and science of winemaking is on display at Lavaca Bluffs Vineyard and Winery, located on the Lavaca River near the town of Lolita. Visit our on-site tasting room where our friendly, knowledgeable staff will treat you to award-winning Lavaca Bluffs wines along with stories of the colorful history of our region of Texas. Great wines, good food, beautiful views, and history by the bottle. A place to enjoy a relaxing afternoon. For hours and directions, visit our website, lavacabluffs.com.
This is a meal worth sharing. Right now, get 4 hot and spicy McChicken sandwiches, 20-piece chicken McNuggets, and a basket of fries for $15.99. Only at McDonald's.
No one wants to think about emergency care until they need it. But when that time comes, Victoria ER is here for you and your family. Our board-certified physicians are available 24/7, so there's never a wait. Whether you need a CAT scan, X-ray, lab work, or even pediatric care, we've got you covered with all the modern medical technology you would expect from a hospital ER. We're committed to personalizing your experience and getting you on your way as quickly and efficiently as possible at Victoria ER.
A Harris County waste disposal site will continue receiving hazardous liquid from the East Palestine, Ohio derailment site. The Houston Chronicle reports County Judge Lena Hidalgo's office confirmed that this afternoon. KPRC reports Texas Molecular received almost 750,000 gallons of hazardous wastewater from East Palestine following this month's train derailment. Human remains found in the Sam Houston National Forest had been identified as those of Felicia Johnson.
And investigators are still searching for the man charged with killing the 24-year-old.
Take a look at video shot by Drone 11 of the wooded area where her remains were found by a TxDOT worker earlier this month. Johnson was from San Diego and she disappeared during a trip to Houston back in April of last year. Her death ruled a homicide after HPD charged 28-year-old Chuck Wabuka and Wabudo in her death. The arrest warrant said they met on an escort website before she disappeared on April 16th of last year. The warrant says they found DNA strongly matching Felicia's at Wabudo's home and a gun, knife, and a shovel in his car. And investigators say they also found searches related to how to be a serial killer and most forested places in Houston. Just minutes ago, Felicia's dad spoke exclusively with our colleague, and he told her he's happy he'll be able to bring his daughter home and friends and family can pay their respects.
I feel blessed, I feel humbled, and just appreciative of that textile worker that found that bag. You know, it's like But that's my daughter popping back up from the grave for her revenge and for her justice. That's what that is. That's why she was found, and now everything's going to come back to the surface.
But again, her dad hoping the suspect in his daughter's case is brought to justice.
Now, anyone with information on the whereabouts of the suspect or other information relating to the case is urged to call Houston Police or Crime Stoppers. There's also a $5,000 reward.
PAM Health tells us its Ukraine support campaign, which ended today, received about 200 boxes of donations. They were asking for donations to send to the people of Ukraine as the war rages on there. Supplies needed included warm jackets, blankets, sleeping bags, mittens, and backpacks. They were also asking for medical supplies like diapers, bandages, and pain relievers. Toys for children were also needed.
All right, moisture continues to move in from the Gulf, and that means more fog. We'll talk about it straight ahead.
You can enjoy endless entertainment and local news updates for free on our 17 over-the-air channels. Connect your TV antenna to your smart TV in 3 easy steps. Connect the coaxial cable from your antenna to the back of your TV. Select the menu button on your remote and navigate to the correct input of your antenna. Find the channel scan option and click it. Setting up your antenna will keep you entertained and informed with the latest weather updates and emergency information for free. Call or email for questions or more information. Stay connected and stay safe.
When our law firm takes your case, it becomes part of our world. Everyone at the firm works together as a team to get the job done.
We work with each other. We go to trial together.
We're the ones that wake up in the middle of the night thinking about what to do next on a case. That's our job. That's what we're here for.
We help each other on cases, and that's why we get the results that we do.
We are members of this community, and when a member of this community trusts us with their case, we take that trust very seriously.
T-Mobile covers 99% of people in America. So when we say we have your town covered, we mean it.
Where I live is a rural area, and the coverage has been awesome.
And great coverage is just the beginning. Families and small businesses can save 20% versus AT&T.
The savings we get allows us to do more things as a family. We're a one-income military family. Saving every month really does help us.
Plus, with our T-Mobile Price Lock, we guarantee we won't raise the price of your rate plan. Switch today.
With DirecTV, I can get live TV and on demand together. Football, Housewives. Football, Housewives. Football, Housewives.
Whoops.
Oh no.
The Housewives are on the field. I repeat, the Housewives are on the field.
I just want to talk!
Who flips the table? All right, I get it.
Call 1-800-DIRECTV to guarantee your price for 2 years.
All right, we'll start off in Cuero. Some blue skies, a little bit of haze and clouds, some of that moisture pushing in from the Gulf, with that moisture bringing warm air in. And look what happened today, 85 degrees the last day of February. Today's February 28th, about 10 degrees or so more above average. We've been as high, though, in 1940 as 96 degrees. So winter, where's winter at? Not here in South Texas. Now, as that warm moisture continues to move in, winds are a little gusty, but not gusty enough to stop and stifle all of this fog. It's looking to move into the area. Some spots, visibility is getting taken down to 2-3 miles, or even 1 mile or a quarter mile or less. Other areas looking pretty good, but hey, when those spots are getting taken down, yes, you want to be careful. It looks to linger around until about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, here's our temperatures. We warmed into the mid-80s. We're pretty much going to hold on to that weather pattern right through Thursday. The difference is a boundary is going to start heading our way, and when that comes through overnight Thursday into Friday, that is going to start to drop our temperatures. Look at this. Some nights in the 40s. Ooh, that cool air. We're not used to this right now. We've been staying 60s, 70s, warming into the mid-80s. So yeah, a little bit of a chill down later on in the week, but it doesn't last very long. Just like that, warm moisture out of the Gulf moves back in, and those temperatures will start to soar once again. Now, we saw these dew points getting taken down to the 30s and 40s last night with that boundary coming through. But as I mentioned last night, just like that cold front turned into a warm front and zipped right back through the broadcast area and brought the moisture levels, the humidity levels, and the dew point numbers up again to around 70. Yeah, unreasonable uncomfortable. Got to use the fan in weather like this. Now the winds, a lot of tugging and pulling. We're seeing some gusts in that 20-25 mile per hour range. That's going to help with the fog, but not completely wash it out. So yeah, we'll have fog problems, but a little bit on the breezy side in spots that can help with our fog problem just a little bit. All right, here's what we have. I talked about the warm air pushing right back up into the crossroads. This boundary, for the most part, should stay to the northeast of us. Now, as this moisture moves in, why isn't it raining? Because we have opposing forces pushing down on the atmosphere, stifling that rain activity. But what's going to happen? Eventually, I've been talking about it. That's right. Here comes that boundary from the northwest. This one could bring some showers, maybe even heavy showers to portions of the area. But then, cool, dry, sinking air moves in. We go from the mid-80s, snap your fingers, and bam, into the mid-60s. That could be a shock to the system. But as I mentioned, that's going to clear the area. And then we'll see that warm return right out of the Gulf again, and we'll start to warm up. Here's our rain chances again. Opposing forces really keeping this rain at bay. And then later in the week, we start to see that other boundary push in. Yeah, we could see some showers with that. Okay, here's our marine forecast. Here is what we're looking at. 80 degrees for the water, but seas 3 to 5, occasionally 6. Now bays are on the choppy side. 68 overnight. Tomorrow, 83 and breezy. Looking ahead to the rest of the week in Quira, look at that. We get cooled down into the 70s with sun. And then for Port Lavaca, pretty much the same scenario. In the 70s with sun, I'll take that. Okay, right back here in Victoria, that boundary comes through. 86, Friday a high of just 68 degrees. But then some nice weather after that with return temperatures into the mid-80s. For more weather news and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com. That is free with any Android and iPhone. And now we go back to Don and Karina.
Thanks, Howie. And now here's Sports Director Gina Perez.
Thanks, Karina. It's round 3 of the boys basketball playoffs, and an area team is looking for redemption. That and more after the break.
Every day we help kids navigate the realities of the world and make healthy, lifelong choices. Kids learn about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs in lots of ways, often from friends and siblings. While kids may hear lots of harmful information, parents do play a huge role in helping them make the right decision. Talking to your child, sitting down to a family meal at night just to discuss how their day went, or encouraging extracurricular activities can make all the difference.
You can't do this alone. Not an investigation of this scope.
We're partners.
Her death is part of a pattern.
Another missing murdered Indigenous woman.
This is about a very broken system.
It's about corruption.
The truth matters.
We know who killed Gloria.
Prove it.
This is Ford Truck Month, Texas. Time to get up and get into Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight, including Ford F-150 and the all-new Ford Super Duty. Or check out Ford Maverick and Ford Ranger. So get into Ford Truck Month, Texas, and see what a built Ford Tough truck can do for you. There's a great selection in stock. Drive Ford F-150 with 0.9% for 60 months, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days, plus complimentary maintenance.
My name is Adarius McCormick, and I want you to know about my new segment, Homemade with Adarius. I will interview amazing people and showcase intriguing places that may be new to you in the Crossroads. Want to show off something homemade? Email us at homemade@victoriatelevision.com. See my new segment on Crossroads Today YouTube channel and Crossroads Today Plus. You do not want to miss this.
Howdy, Crossroads. The Victoria East Titans and West Warriors are on the pitch for a district rematch for both the boys and girls teams. Sports reporter Zach Brown is live at at Memorial Stadium with the latest. Zach.
Thanks, Gino. It's a very big day for sports here in Victoria. The crosstown rival battle between Victoria East and Victoria West for soccer. Get a good look at this scenery. It's halftime right now. Got a pretty decent crowd on our hands. Last time these teams met, it was Victoria West winning for the boys and West winning for the girls. Right now, we're in halftime. East is actually taking it to West 2-0. West came into today 7-0-1 in district play, having themselves quite the season. The East Titans need this win as they sit at just 500 on the year. Then the girls hit the field a little after 7 o'clock. Last time those two met, West with the 4-1 victory. So the East Titans really looking for a little bit of revenge. You never want to get swept by your rival. But Gino, I said there were 2 reasons why it was a big day, and that's because as soon as we leave Memorial Stadium, we're going down the road to Cuero in the Roofs, where Edna takes on Cole for a 3rd round playoff showdown. But I'm sure you've got a whole lot more to say about that.
Right, Zach, down in Cuero, it's a win or go home game between Edna and Cole. If Edna wins tonight, this will mean that the Cowboys yet again will make history, and this will be the furthest that they've ever made it in their history. The Cowboys lost to Cole last season in the 2nd round, but will have somewhat a field advantage today, as Edna will only have to drive 50 minutes, while Cole will nearly have to drive an hour longer coming from San Antonio. And like Zach mentioned, this is a big game for the Cowboys, and he will be there to send us highlights. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock in Cuero. UHV men's and women's golf teams both finished up at the Claude Jacobs Invitational today, just a day after the passing of the man the tournament is named after. The Jaguars did not disappoint and go on to win the whole thing, perhaps in honor of the philanthropist. In the final day of the tournament, the team shot a .291 between the 5 golfers, with 4 of which finishing in the top 10. UHV golfer Carson Kaler had an amazing 3 days, shooting 68, 21, and 70 in all 3 rounds, which led him to win 1st place in the tournament. His teammate Will Patton finished in 5th, and Jackson Langford and Jacob Flores both finished tied for 8th. Joshua Fundervat finished tied for 31st. As a team, the men finished 9 over par. Texas Wesleyan finished in 2nd, 22 over par, and St. Thomas, Florida in 3rd at 24 over par. UHV women's golf team, on the other hand, struggled in the tournament. Of the 6 teams that competed, UHV finished last. UHV golfer Cecilia Niemitz was the top performer for the UHV team, finishing tied for 12th place. 2 UHV golfers finished tied for 24th place, and 1 finished tied for 32nd, and 1 more finished tied for 36th. The golf teams did well in honoring a great man in Claude Jacobs. Don and Karina, back to you.
Gino, thank you. We're back in a moment. A restaurant in Malaysia serves up a very unusual dining experience.
The Nave Museum's current exhibit is a retrospective of Nancy Bandy's life and art. Primarily a landscape artist, her works in pastel and oil use glorious color to capture the majesty and splendor of big Texas skyscapes. Also featured are portraits and street photography by local artist Danny Vivian, which capture the emotions and personalities of the people he photographs. Open through April 2nd, this is an exhibit not to be missed. Proudly sponsored by the Victoria Television Group.
Stay up to date with what's happening in the Crossroads by downloading the Crossroads Today mobile app. You'll get instant alerts to your phone or tablet the minute breaking news or weather happens. Only the free Crossroads Today mobile app features weather updates for local sports. The Crossroads Today app gives you the ability to stream our daily newscasts when you're on the go and share pictures or tips straight to our newsroom and so much more. Brought to you locally by Prosperity Bank, with 12 locations serving the Crossroads area.
It's time to lasso up in Edna, Texas for Hospice of South Texas Lassoing Loving Care Team Roping. Saturday, March 4th at the Brackenridge Event Center. Books open 8 a.m. with roping at 9:30 a.m. There will be number 11.5 and number 9.5 roping. Live auction at 1 p.m. Silent auction and concessions available, and admission is free. For more information, call 210-508-1223 or visit hospiceofsouthtexas.org. Sponsored in part by the Victoria Television Group.
A Malaysian cafe giving its customers the chance to experience having their cakes and waffles right next to lizards, tarantulas, gerbils, and snakes. The wildlife-friendly Fangs Cafe is filled mostly with reptiles. The cafe features several enclosures to ensure the safety of both the animals and customers. That'd be great for people on a diet, because after you see all those, you don't want to eat.
It's like Rainforest Cafe, but like live, you know?
Well, rainforest, much live.
Much live.
Howie, would you like to eat around there?
Yes, because I'm a huge reptile fan. Frogs, snakes, lizards, gators, absolutely love them. Now, here's what's going on, though. as moisture moves in, winds start to lessen a little bit. We'll start to see some fog. So fog could be an issue again. We want to slow it down overnight. Don, Karina.
Thank you, Howie, and thanks for joining us. We're streaming 24/7 Crossroads Today Plus.
That's right, and we hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.